49ers update, Nashville Airport, about to hop onto the flight to San Francisco. Tomorrow in the Bay Area, the 49ers began the voluntary portion of their off-season program. So will Brock Purdy show up? Will George Kittle show up? Will Fred Warner show up? Those are three players who might get contract extensions this offseason. And in the case of Purdy and Kittle, I think they're going to require contract extensions to get onto the field for the 49ers. Now, tomorrow's just voluntary, and tomorrow's not an 11-on-11 OTA practice. We're not going to see that until May. We're not going to see anything mandatory until the mini camp, which is end of May, beginning of June. But that's going to be a much firmer event to look at. But tomorrow still could be an indicator as to how these contract negotiations are going. If the negotiation with Brock Purdy is going well, if both sides believe that progress is being made toward a resolution, whether it be in a week or in a month or 2 months, then I think Brock is going to be there. But if Brock Purdy isn't at the 49ers voluntary offseason program starting on Tuesday, that can be a sign that the two sides are still a little bit further apart. Purdy's got 1 year left on his rookie deal at about $5 million after a performance escalator bonus thanks to his Pro Bowl appearance in 2023. Then you've got the case of George Kittle, who's also entering the lame duck year of his contract. Kittle's due a $14.4 million base salary and about $600,000 in bonus money. The top paid tight end of the game now is Trey McBride, just shy of $20 million, $19 million per year. I think it's obvious that the 49ers and Kittle, and especially Kittle, were waiting for Trey McBride of the Cardinals to finish his contract so that there would be some kind of precedent for George Kittle to beat, because Kittle's obviously the best tight end in the game. There's some speculation that the 49ers should have gotten this done before Trey McBride signed, and anybody who says that doesn't understand that contracts must be signed by two parties, and George Kittle obviously wanted to wait for McBride to sign because he knew that he could usurp him in money. So the Kittle final price tag, I think almost certainly is going to be at $20 million per year. I don't know what the guarantees are going to be. He's obviously on the wrong side of 30, but he hasn't slowed down as a player yet. So the 49ers and Kittle are going to have to work that out, because $14.4 million plus the $600,000 bonus total, which equals $15 million, not high enough for George Kittle, who does not want to play on a lame duck deal. He was at WrestleMania in Las Vegas, so he is moving closer to the West Coast. He actually lives here in Nashville over the course of the offseason. Mike Silver chimed in on this Kittle situation, and he said that it's more of a long shot that he reports to this voluntary portion of the offseason program. He said that in the context of Fred Warner, who is likely to report tomorrow. In fact, Warner's been around the building. We saw when Chris Paul, the linebacker out of Ole Miss, visited on his top 30 visit, he took a picture with Fred Warner. So we know that Fred Warner has been around. We know that George Kittle's been around the world. He's been in Paris, obviously in Nashville, where he was working out with Brock Purdy just a few days ago. But Silver says that he doesn't think that George Kittle is going to be there for the start of the offseason program. Silver also says that he and the 49ers, Kittle and the 49ers, remain far apart in discussions about a new deal. So obviously the 49ers trying to figure out a way to work around the advancing age of George Kittle, even though he hasn't slowed down yet, while also acknowledging that he is the best tight end in the game. They do have time to figure this out, as George Kittle is not the most critical player for the 49ers to have at their voluntary offseason program. The Warner case is interesting because he's got 2 years left on his deal, but I've been saying all offseason that Fred Warner is a candidate for a new contract. The way that the 49ers have set this up is that they're obviously doubling down on their A-list players, guys who have not been A-listers, who were making a little bit more money than the 49ers deemed to be efficient. They've cut ties with those guys over the course of this offseason. They want the A-list pillars to be the centerpiece of this team, and then they want to fill in the rest with cost-controlled talent, either through free agency or the draft, which is coming up later this week. They've got 11 picks, the most in the NFL in that draft. So Purdy, obviously A-list talent. George Kittle, obviously A-list talent. Fred Warner, obviously A-list talent. You don't let A-listers play on lame duck deals. That much is obvious. So Kittle and Purdy, they're trying to get those contract negotiations done this offseason. But Warner, it's not a lame duck deal. There was a buyback bonus that actually stretched the deal through 2025 and 26 that was part of the original contract that he signed in 2021. Obviously, the 49ers exercised that buyback bonus, but now they're looking at a contract over 25 and 2026 that has total base salary worth about $35 million. Warner set to make $17.65 million in base salary this year, plus about $600,000 in bonus money. There was that buyback bonus that also hit for him this offseason. So he's making a little bit more than $20 million in 2025, which would be top of the market for the linebacker position. But come 2026, it'll only be 17.65 plus the $600,000, so about 18.3 million for Fred Warner. That would be not number one in the linebacker market, and Fred Warner is the best in the game. So if Warner's willing to move early, I think the 49ers would be willing to move early as well. Obviously, he doesn't have the leverage of somebody entering the lame duck year of his contract, so I think he's going to be there. Mike Silver also agrees with that. He's going to be at the facility tomorrow for the start of the offseason program. Now, whether or not the 49ers also see Brock Purdy and George Kittle at these voluntary sessions remains to be seen, and that's, of course, going to be the more dramatic part of all this. But keep an eye on Purdy, keep an eye on Kittle, keep an eye on Fred Warner, all of whom, according to the 49er strategy, it's not a new strategy, it's something they've followed for years, all of whom are going to be guys who get paid again by the 49ers because they are doubling down on A-list pieces. Now, speaking to the draft, the one little piece of a rumor that we have is from Adam Schefter, who listed the 49ers as one of the several teams who are interested in trading back in the first round. The problem for San Francisco is that he also listed about 7 other teams. Jacksonville, who's at pick number 5, Carolina, pick number 8, the 49ers, pick number 11, Atlanta, pick number 15, Seattle, pick number 18, Tampa Bay, pick number 19, Pittsburgh, pick number 21, and the Minnesota Vikings, pick number 24. All of those teams, according to Adam Schefter, are interested in trading back in the NFL draft. So when it takes 2 to tango and more teams want to trade back than trade up, it's going to be hard to trade back. But given the draft, and I've talked about this in my mock draft, I talked about it for months now, given the fact that this draft is meaty in the middle and not so top heavy, the trade back strategy definitely makes sense. All right, I just got some good news on the phone. I got upgraded to first class on the way to San Francisco. That's a good start to the voluntary offseason program and to draft week. So I've got to go board, and we will talk to you from the West Coast.